Hey, what is going on? What is going on? It is the Street Conservative coming back with another video. Today's topic, I want to talk about daughter wives. I'm going to say that again. I want to talk about daughter wives and what they have to go through, what they have been through. And I know that sounds weird when I say daughter wives, but the reason why that sounds weird in itself is because in our community, when we talk about the relationship between the parents and the children, we talk about the relationship of the mother and the sons, to a point to where we have coined the phrase or coined the term son husbands. But we don't never talk about what the girls go through. We don't ever talk about how the girls, they're in these households playing the role as a mother when they have their mother actually in the house. Now, I want to give one content creator credit, because when he came out on YouTube years ago, he was the first one, and I believe the only one, that really talked about this, and that is Tommy Sotomayor. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Tommy Sotomayor, and I understand that you have your thoughts about him, but at the same time, when he spoke, a lot of the things that he said, he spoke with facts. He had facts to back it up. So you couldn't deny it. You couldn't debunk it. And one of the things he spoke about is the issue with these girls. They are put in these positions, in these households, where the mom, what she'll do is she'll neglect her job and pass it over to the daughter. Now the daughter has to play the role of a mother. She has to accept the responsibilities of a mother, while the actual mother is just there. And that's what I want to talk about. Daughter wives. Now, in this video, I'm just going to let you know right now that for you, man, y'all not going to get away with this, because y'all play a hand in this too. It's not just the mothers, but it's also the fathers. Y'all play a role in this. But you have a man and a woman get together, and they'll start a family. You know, they'll have children. And the structure of this family consists of not only sons, but daughters. Now, the mother and the father, they decide to separate and get a divorce, and the father leaves out. He goes somewhere on the other side of town, or he goes to another state to start over, and just, you know, it is what it is. But now you have the mother who has custody of the kids. So now you have the mother with the sons. Let's just say she has custody of 2 sons and 2 daughters, 4 children. The oldest sibling in the family is a girl who's 15 years old. She's the oldest. But because this mother, she is now playing both roles in the household, where she's playing the mother and the father, it begins to take a toll. It takes a toll to a point to where she starts to neglect everything that goes on in that house. She's neglecting her responsibilities. So now, because she has dropped the ball, someone has to pick it up. It goes back to my previous video I did last week, when I talked about finish what you started, where you will have the guy will start a family, and he'll take off somewhere, and he expects someone to come in and And after he done took off and dropped the baton, he wants someone else to come in and pick up the baton and finish out his race, which is that family. You know, and it's the same thing. You have these mothers, they neglect their responsibilities, they drop the ball, and now you have the oldest daughter, because she's the oldest in the family, the second oldest in the family in that household. She now has to pick up that ball or pick up the baton and finish on. So now you have a 15-year-old who has to learn how to cook at an early age. She has to babysit at an early age. She has to make sure that her brothers and sisters do what they're supposed to do at an early age, as far as like going to school, you know. And this is things that actually go on in communities, but it's overlooked. People are quiet about this. People are quiet about girls having to be mothers in those homes when the actual mother is there just goofing off, to a point to where now you have the 15-year-old girl. She has to take care of the mother as if the mother is one of her brothers and sisters. Now, as everyone gets older, and when I say everyone, I mean not just the 15-year-old girl, but her brothers and sisters. You know, they're all in their 20s now. The mother is now home by herself. But because she's so used to having someone take care of her, she can't take care of herself. So what the mother does is the mother takes turns going from home to home of her sons and daughters' houses. Now, her sons and daughters might have families of their own that they have to attend to. But not only they have to attend to their families in their homes, they have to attend to the mother that's also in their home. And it becomes a burden. It becomes a burden for both the son and the daughters. And the reason why is because it's not designed that way. When you have children, you bring children into this world, your job is to raise your children, get them prepared to be adults. And when they become adults, they move on. They move on, they get jobs, and not only are they providing for themselves, but they also have to provide for their families if they have families. And the cycle continues. They raise their kids to become adults, and their kids go out into the real world and do the same thing. But for some reason, there's this occurrence that's been taking place. And it's been taking place for a long time, for years now, where you have the mothers, they are expecting their sons and daughters to take care of them. Now, the reason why I'm saying the mothers is because, I mean, it's not hard to explain. Majority of the households are single mother households. They're ran by single mothers. I mean, I don't know what else to, I can't explain it no simpler. I mean, that's just pretty much what it is. But then there's also situations where you'll have the mother and father are together. They'll separate. Father moves on. The mother has custody of the kids, but then she's out there and she gets involved in some stuff that's not even conducive to building a family. She starts going off and veering off to like unnecessary stuff. Don't know what that could be, but like the stuff that has nothing to do with the family, and it causes her to neglect the entire kids or the entire family, to where you have the grandmother or the grandparents have to come in and they have to raise the kids. But because that mother was the last contact to have some type of communication or physical communication with those kids, those children, at the end of the day, she's the one who's responsible. You know. But you'll have these mothers moving to these kids' houses or their homes. When I say kids, they're adults, but to the mother, they're still kids. But they're moving to their sons and daughters' homes who are now older and they have children of their own. They have wives and husbands of their own. And when they move in there into these homes, they're not contributing to anything. They're adding into the bills. They're adding into the water. They're adding into the electricity. They're adding into the AC. They're adding into the grocery costs. And they're not putting anything on the table. And what's crazy is that I can understand if a lot of these mothers were either disabled or they had some form of illness to where they couldn't do anything. I'll get that. I get that. That's understandable. That is understandable. But majority of these mothers, there's nothing wrong with them. They don't have any terminal illness. They have no disability. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just lazy. They're lazy and they want someone to take care of them. And again, I know that there's a lot of stories out there that, when I say stories, I mean content. I know there's a lot of content out there that speaks on son husbands. But you also have to be fair. You have to be fair by calling out what the daughters have to go through. Because these daughters have to go through the same thing. They have to treat their mothers as if she's one of their sons or daughters. She has to treat her mother as if she's the husband in the relationship. Because why? Because in many cases, the daughters they're single mothers as well. So they're working to provide for their children. And now, not only they're providing for their children, but they have another head in the home that's racking up on the utilities, on the resources, on the groceries. And because those daughters have to get up and they have to continue on and they have to continue to work to make sure everything is straightened at home, they become somewhat as the fathers. So they got that mindset that when they walk through that door, not only they're going to be looking at their children, but they're going to be looking at an adult, which is their mom. But because they walking, but because, I know I'm stuttering, but because they're walking through the door and they have that mentality of they have completed their day trying to take on the world, they're coming in with the mentality of a father. You know, a man goes out there to the world and he has to deal with the crap that the world gives him. But he's supposed to be able to take it and move on. And the reason why is because his main focus is that family. When he goes home, regardless of the bullets that he's taken, no matter how much knives he has taken, no matter how much he's been punched in the face, he goes home feeling different because he knows his family's taken care of. See, that's the type of thinking men have to go through. And because you have these women who are single mothers, they have to think just like that in order to make it, because it's all about their children. Because obviously the father, he done ran off somewhere. And if she runs off somewhere, the children, they're feeding for themselves, which is bad business. So she has to think like both a mother and a father. So when she comes through that door, not only she has to think like a father and ignore everything that happened that day, because for the better of her children, but now she has to look at a grown woman, which is her mom, and that right there makes her a daughter husband or daughter wife, or however you want to put it. It's whatever you want to put it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. You have these mothers that went out there and screwed up their entire life, and now they done got older. They have nothing. They have nothing to their name. And the reason why, because they spent their young years goofing off and they didn't build anything. And now that they're older, now that they're in their 50s and 60s, now they look at their kids to take care of them. And it kills me because you are a mother, which means you are a woman, a female. With all the stuff that you went through being a female in this country, why would you put your daughter through the same stress? Why would you do that? Because that's all you're doing. It's not her responsibility to take care of you. Whatever you did, you have to face the music. You made your bed. You need to lie in it. That's just how it works. You don't get a chance to sit there and make all these mistakes throughout your life, and then yet you want your children to come behind you and clean it up for you. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And that's another reason why you have a lot of these women walking around here with the mindset of a man. For a lot of you men, when y'all go out here and y'all talk about these women, these black women, and talk about how masculine they are, you have to understand. You have to understand how the environment they grew up in. Like, I know y'all like to say that it has something to do with feminists and liberal policies and all this in play, but yeah, I get it and I understand that, because I agree with you. But you just can't use that as an excuse, because there's more to it. There's more that's beneath the surface that you have to call out. And y'all been doing this for a long time, and it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not. You have these women who have been raised to think like men. And the reason why is because since the age of 14, 15, 16, and in some cases 13 and 12, they had to take care of their brothers and sisters, because they had a grown woman in there that couldn't do it. She couldn't do it. You have women who they decide to have these kids, and they're like in their 20s and 30s, and they still want to go out there and party like they're in their teens. I think there was a story that happened last week where a woman left her kids in a car at home and she went off to a whole nother state to go party. A whole nother state. And you have to understand that because those kids was left alone, that means that someone had to take charge. And who was that? It was either the older son or the older daughter that had to take charge. And again, a lot of y'all are going to think that it was the son that took over. And see, that's the problem. We keep focusing on son husbands. We're not being fair. We're neglecting the pain that these little girls have to go through. These little girls are being taught at an early age to be mothers. They have to move as mothers, but think like fathers. Because the father's not there after he done brought them to the world, and the mother, she's not even there who helped bring them to the world. And another thing that kills me is that you will have these siblings going through the stress of taking care of their mother along with their families that they have, and the father's out there in a whole nother state, stress-free. Now, that really pisses me off. That really pisses me off. Because you as a man brought these kids into this world, and then you took off and you dropped the baton, and then they had to pick it up and move forward. They basically had to raise themselves. Like, I just don't understand this, man. I don't understand it. For the life of me, I don't understand it. But if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. The title of that video is Finish What You Have Started. Now, when you watch the video, I pushed out the context as if I was just talking about the fathers. But I guess you could take this video and tie it in as a part 2 while I'm speaking on the mothers. Like, you literally have these adults, these now adults who have families of their own, have to sit there and pretty much babysit their mothers. Women who could still go out there and obtain their own. Because again, they don't have terminal illnesses. They don't have disabilities. They're just lazy. They want someone to take care of them. And because they picked the wrong guy to have a relationship with, they put the burden on the kids. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. And I know I can't really say much in this video because a lot of the stuff that I can say, again, you just check out my last video because it's the same difference. The problem is the same. The only difference is instead of talking about the man, you have to talk about the women. Instead of talking about the sons, you have to talk about the daughters. And another thing that that I forgot to bring up is the fact that, well, I almost forgot to bring up, is that a lot of these situations in which the mothers and the fathers separated, we can say that a lot of it's the fault of the father, but we can also say a lot of it's the fault of the mother. And when you have these mothers making it hard for a man to have a relationship, those men are going to pack up and go. They're going to make it, somehow they're going to make it hard. You know, that their whole thought process is out of whack. And so the man is like, you know what, I can't deal with this no more. I can't deal with this no more. So he packs up and he goes. But instead of the mother acknowledging her problems and working on it, she neglects it, which allows the problem to continue. The problem continues, and it gets worse. But because you have the daughter there, the daughter has to go through that burden. They have to go through that burden. Just like with these son husbands, they got to go through the burden. The daughters have to go through the burden. But you got this man, this father, who sat there and created a relationship with this woman, created a family with this woman. He takes off into a whole nother state, stress-free. Stress-free. He's gone, and he has his sons and he has his daughters. They gotta stay in that household and deal with that. Whatever reason why he left out, they have to deal with that. And what's really problematic with this is that if the kids who are now adults, if they decide that they're going to move in the right direction, in which they're going to focus on themselves and their own families, they'll get ridiculed. They won't only get ridiculed by the mother, but they'll get ridiculed by the community. They'll get ridiculed by society. So instead of getting ridiculed, those daughters, they have to stay put and just deal with that. They have to deal with that stress. They have to deal with that stress, and then they gotta take their anger out into the world. They have to go out into the world and put their anger out. But a lot of y'all, what y'all want to do is y'all just want to talk about the stigma of son husbands. You don't want to talk about these daughter husbands or daughter wives, because again, I know it sounds strange, and the reason why those terms sound strange is because you're not used to hearing it. And the reason why you're not used to hearing it is again, we don't talk about that. We only talk about the son husband dynamic. That's all we talk about. Like it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Look, man. I've seen mothers that will call their daughters up and ask their daughters for money. And it's money for stupid stuff. You need money for cigarettes. You need money to pay your rent. You need money for you want to get your hair and nails done for once, because you never had that experience for years. Your daughter shouldn't be doing that. Your husband should be doing that. I've seen a daughter who was pissed off because her mom kept calling her, and she knew her mom wanted something from her. So she ignored the phone calls. So her mom sends a text And her mom is telling her, like, hey, I'm your mother. You need to answer the phone. So she answers the phone. Well, she calls back. And when she calls back, the mother, she's asking for money to get something to eat. And what's really crazy about the entire thing is that the mother has a boyfriend in the home. What? So you have a daughter who is a single mother of 2, 3, or 4. And now that 2 or 3 or 4, she's probably only getting child support from one father, because the other ones are just like, they're just deadbeats. So at the same time, she has that source of income coming in, which is not that much. So she has to go out there and find another job, or to go get a job, and she has to add that into the little income of that child support for one of the fathers decided to send. So she used all that money to sit there and pay for the bills and take care of the 2 or 3 kids. And yet here you come calling because you need some money so you can get something to eat, and you got a dude sitting up there right next to you. That makes no sense. But it's happening. It's happening. Now, this video was intended to only talk about the mothers, but because of the dynamic, I have to bring the fathers in. I have to, because why? Because you as a father, you set these kids up for failure. Just like the mother set these kids up for failure. Y'all two set these kids up for failure. Because instead of sticking around and whatever problems you had, instead of sticking around and trying to deal with those problems, you two decided to just take off. Y'all decided to separate. And because y'all have both separated, both of y'all has dropped that baton, and now the kids got to pick up both batons and move forward. They have to move forward in the race. And then you have the kids sitting there, they got to go through all that. They have to go through that misery. They have to go through that level of misery. And you are over across town, across country, or somewhere that's enjoying your life, meeting up with a new woman. Why? So you can repeat history? So you can do it all over again? This is the reason why it's hard to just focus on the mothers. To talk about the mothers, you have to talk about the fathers, because both of y'all are equally blamed in this situation. And what's the situation? You have these boys who are being coined as son husbands, and you have these daughters that are being coined as daughter husbands or daughter wives, whatever you want to call it. But for some reason, we overlook their problem. These girls are suffering just as much as these boys are. But that concludes my video. If you have any comments, put it in the comment section. Before I end the video, I want to say I appreciate the support that I'm getting from these subscribers. I appreciate the support, and I will get better with this content. And again, this content is not just to criticize, but it's to provide constructive criticism. And it's also to provide exposure for people who are out there doing good things. So again, subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, share it, and I'll see you next time. Oh yeah, and one more thing before I end the video. If you have anything that you want me to talk about, put that in the comment section as well. Alright? Put it in the comment section. But only bring up topics that allows me to provide constructive criticism to those topics. Alright? But subscribe to the channel for the third time. Give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you next time. Peace.